Hey, what's going on, my lovely people? Today I'm going to be making some brioche bread. This recipe, you could actually make 4 loaves, but I decided to get a little fancy and I used a portion of the dough to braid, and then I used the other portion to actually make some loaves. And right there, I am adding some warm water to some sugar, and I'm going to add my yeast to that, and the sugar and the warm water will help my yeast activate. I did not use the rapid rise or the instant yeast because it has an added ingredient that I just didn't care to add to my bread. And I really love fresh bread. I don't get a chance to make it all the time. It's a little bit time consuming, but it's so worth it. I wish I could make it like on a weekly basis. Right there, those bubbles, that's what you want to see. You want your yeast to become activated because that allows your bread to rise, and those nice airy pockets that we all love about bread, that's where you get it from. Right there, I'm just adding some eggs, some melted butter, and I will leave all of my ingredient down in the description box, so please don't fret. And right there, I'm adding some vanilla, and I'm just gonna mix it until it's nice and incorporated. And then I'm gonna add my flour. Right there, I am about to add my flour. I actually split this recipe in half. I use half white flour and half whole wheat flour. You can either use the entire recipe, you can use whole wheat, or you can use all white flour. I decided to split it in half. This recipe is a large recipe. It's actually 12 cups, so I did 6 cups of white flour and 6 cups of whole wheat flour. At a certain point, it's going to get too difficult for me to continue to use the whisk. So I'm going to have to get dirty and get my hands in there. If you have a mixer at home, you can use your mixer. I don't know why I didn't use my mixer. I guess I felt like getting dirty. I know why I didn't use it, because this is a large recipe and it would have been too large for my mixing bowl. But if you have one of those large mixing bowls, go ahead and use it. You're going to save yourself a lot of arm exercise, let's just say that, because all that kneading and mixing and stuff like that, it's well worth it, trust me. But if you have a machine to help you, go ahead and use it. Right there, I let it rise for maybe about an hour in a nice warm place. That's what you want to do when you're making bread. You want your yeast to rise, or your bread to rise, in a warm location. So what I do is I put my oven on warm, and then I turn it off and I just put the bowl in there and let it sit in the oven for maybe about an hour. And since I'm using plastic bowls, please make sure that you definitely, your oven has cooled down to a certain degree. However, you don't want it too cool. You still want it a little warm, because that helps your bread rise. And right there, I'm just rolling and kneading my dough so that it fits in the loaf pans nicely. It's not perfect, but it sure tastes good. And at this point, I was kind of tired anyway, to be honest with you. I was kind of tired of messing around with this dough. So my loaves, I could have worked, those loaves and made them a little bit more pretty, but hey, it is what it is. And right there, I'm just kneading the other portion because I'm going to braid the other portion of the loaf. They make for really, if you have guests coming over and you want to be a little fancy and, impress your guests, go ahead and try rolling out. It's very simple. If you know how to braid hair, you can do this. And there I'm just placing it on a cookie sheet. And I'm actually going to let it rise for another 30 minutes. And I'm just drizzling a little grapeseed oil on the top. And I'm gonna let it rise again. And I've let it rise and for maybe about 30 minutes. And right there, I'm preparing my egg wash right before I put it in the oven, because what this does is it gives your bread a lovely, lovely color. That golden brown color that we all love about bread. Oh, the egg wash, it does it. And man, I tell you, when I was baking this bread, the entire house was smelling like a bakery. It was just delightful. That's probably one of the best things and things that I miss about baking bread is the smell that goes throughout your house. Oh, it just permeates. I mean, you can be upstairs and you can smell this bread being baked. Delightful. At this point, you want to have your oven preheated at 350 degrees. And even though you put in a lot of work to make this bread, it only cooks for 30 minutes. And it didn't take long at all. The braided loaf, I actually ended up placing back into the oven because I wanted it a little bit more golden. So after I put the butter on the top, I placed the braided loaf back into the oven so it can get a nice golden brown color. But as you can see, my loaf pans, the bread inside the loaf pans, they came out really, really nice with a nice golden color. And drizzling that butter, it doesn't hurt. It just adds the love to the food. The love. Where is the love? Oh, I'm going to stop right here. But anyway, I'm adding some butter. And then I'm going to place that braided loaf back into the oven so it can get that nice color. And I think it's about done. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.